everyone, it's Desiree and we are here with Spellbinders and going to create a card featuring their large die of the month for February called Typing Class. And we're also going to add in a sentiment from the Glimmer kit of the month for February as well. So I'm going to start by getting that ready. So I've got my Glimmer machine heating up there off to the side. I've chosen my sentiment to say just a note. And I've already taken care of the die cutting on my panel that I've cut. So I've chosen the happy and the birthday from the die set. I'm going to be using the, I think this is called this Sparkled Aura foil. And I'm just going to cut around it just so that I don't have too much ghosting going around, or over foiling, I think we also call it. And I'm going to get that set up onto my machine and let that heat up as it needs to. I then cut a same piece of cardstock, the same width, but made it longer, and I'm turning it into a tag. I've die cut all my pieces, and I'm going to double layer this. So I'm cutting off the one piece that folds down onto the card base. And I could have cut that one off too. The way that I was working with this, I'm kind of doing something a little bit different when it comes to this card. I'm going to create a background panel. I want it to look like a sky, so I'm not looking for perfect blending. I like when it's not perfect, it looks like it's clouds coming in, and I'm really just focusing on the outer edge, and I'm using tumbled glass and prize ribbon. I am loving the blue of the prize ribbon mixed with tumbled glass and just giving it a frame. The die cuts and the image that I'm creating is going to sit in the center. So you're really not going to see the center of this panel. This panel is cut to 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm going to set down my first piece. Now, I probably did not need this second piece because, or the first piece that I put down, because it kind of catches on what I'm doing there. And you'll see as we go in, because I keep it all in there. My image has been foiled, and you can see we've just got this sparkly, a note to make you smile. I cut my, from the die set, it's got a rectangle that perfectly fits behind when you do your cutouts. So I used that die to cut out from black cardstock so that they'll really stand out. I'm putting glue on the letters so that I'm not going to have too much glue coming through to the front, and I'm going to do that both to the top and the bottom. Now, this piece is going to sit on top of that tag shape that I have, and I'm just going to glue around the edges and a little bit from the bottom, about halfway. I want to create this pocket up on top of that, so I'm making sure that I do have that pocket opening with my paper creaser there. So now let's work on the keys. So the die is absolutely great. It gives you these strips for your keys. Now I wanted the silver mirror cardstock to be the top of my keys. So I'm making sure that that's where they are positioned. You could reverse this and do the opposite of that as well to make the stem of the keys your silver. So again, you can look at how you're placing your pieces. I just wanted my keys to be silver, and I wanted the bases of them to be that Desert Storm cardstock there. Once they are in place, I will glue this entire piece onto the backing. So you have the insert and then the outline. So I die cut those together, and then I just use the outline to cut the base so that this could all be set on top of that. Lines up perfectly, and those are our keys. I used some double-sided foam squares to prop that piece up. Now I'm coming in with the space bar, and I used the silver mirrored cardstock as well, and just setting that in place. Now at the top of this typewriter there is an opening, and that's what our other piece is going to sit into. Right now I'm going to focus on the knobs, and I've cut that both out of gray and black cardstock so that the black will have like a little bit of shadow coming off of it. And then I'm also adding the dye that creates the shadow inside the turning knob for your typewriter. I mean, they think of everything when it comes to their dies. I'm using my reverse tweezers by Spellbinders with that super pointed tip, which I love, and just making sure, because I didn't think, I want these to sit behind. It's okay that they're going to extend, because remember, this panel is cut to be 4 1/4 by, or excuse me, 4 by 5 1/4. So it's going to fit onto my standard A2 size card base. So this is why I want that piece to sit in there. Now, I shouldn't have cut the second one in the back, because then it would have been a smoother in and out. But that's okay. We keep going. I've die cut. I've used all kinds of bright colors for my flowers. And now I'm just layering them up, mixing and matching the colors that I chose. I already took care of all of the greens. So I have these beautiful bright green leaves there. And then I have a darker green. And then I also took care of the stems. So I'm just mixing and matching the bases and looking at, okay, this is the number that I want for these. I do save my extra pieces if there are any, and I just throw them in a big tub that I have. Going to do the same thing with the second flowers. It's what I love about die cutting. You can really create your layers, create your texture. Just die cutting alone, you actually can create almost something that is interactive. And that's what I was kind of going for here. Now, you don't have to make this interactive. You could take that piece that I have inside of the typewriter and make it permanent. It's totally your choice. Again, when you look at your dies, look at how you can use them in other ways. And the beauty of this, if you didn't, maybe you don't want a foil in the center, that's where you could write your message to somebody and just make a panel. You don't have to make an opening card. You could just put this onto a sturdy panel, so it's like a note card for the recipient. So there's all kinds of different ways that you can do this. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on some scratch paper. And now I'm going to inset and set all of the flowers. So I want some of the foliage to come out of the typewriter. And again, I'm making sure that I can get that piece to slide in and out. And to know the dimension of that piece, I just measured what that opening was and cut it just over 1/8 of an inch, close to 1/4 of an inch smaller than what that opening is. Again, still making sure that this piece is going to slide in and out. And what I'm noticing is as that's sitting there, you can see part of the glimmer sentiment. And it was driving me crazy. So I chose, I'm going to put a flower right there on the typewriter so that when this piece does sit there, you're not seeing that glimmer until you're pulling this piece out. I have the opening at the top because I want the flowers to come off of that, to actually almost like they're exploding. And I'm putting those behind it so that it's just filling up the scene. I love adding a lot of die cuts, especially with the florals and something like this. To me, it just adds lots of layers. You do not have to go as crazy as I did, by all means. Do what you like and what makes your design be the design that you want it to be. I am just filling up this pocket here. I'm adding all of the different florals that I've got going on. I'm actually going to add another one across the typewriter. I really like it going across the keys. I thought that was different. And we're just going to use the liquid adhesive to get that down and in place, making sure that I'm not touching the tag because I almost glued the tag in. Yeah. You gotta, think about everything going on there. So that's why you keep on seeing me pulling on that, saying, okay, did I mess something up? Did I forget? But again, just making that piece full and then having one come down in front of the happy as well. Now, what I forgot to show is there is a tassel that was added so that the recipient knows to pull me, and then that will come out for them. I'm adding some great chunky glitter gems from Trinity, and I'm going to add some sparkle using my Spectrum Noir sparkle pen just on the bases of each of the flowers. Again, just a little bit of accenting there. And that is our project for today, featuring the Spellbinders Large Die for February. And again, it is called Typing Class. I hope you enjoyed this. Hope I gave you some ideas, ways that you can look at your dies on how else you can use them to stretch them out. We don't have to limit ourselves to what that die specifically is. As always, I will have all of the links to Spellbinders for their blog so that you can get even more inspiration, to their shop, and of course to the club kits. They have so many that are available and so many options for you. Any questions, make sure you leave those down below and I will make sure I get back to you as soon as I can. And remember, continue to enjoy the process. Have fun. Think outside that box. Create what you want to create. But always remember what's most important. Always be creative. And I'll talk to you in the next one.